Hi, good day everyone. Welcome to iTech 360 Security Management, and today we'll be talking about configuration, change management controls. Um, what is configuration change management control? So basically, this is the process of tracking and approving changes to a system. It involves identifying, controlling, and auditing all changes made to the system. It can address hardware and software changes, networking changes, or any other change affecting the security. Um, Configuration management can also be used to protect a trusted system while it is being designed and developed. So, the primary security goal of configuration management is to ensure that changes to the system do not unintentionally diminish security. So, for example, configuration management might prevent an older version of a system from being activated as a production system. So some of the functions of the configuration or change control. First, we have to ensure that the change is implemented in an orderly manner. Um, to ensure that the user base is informed of implementing change, and to analyze the effect of the change on the system, and lastly to reduce the negative impact that the change might have had on the computing services and the resources. So here we have administrative controls. So what is administrative controls? Basically, this can be defined as the controls that are installed and maintained by the administrative management to help reduce the threat or impact of violations on computer security. So we separate them from the operations control because these controls have more to do with human resource personnel administration and policies than they do with the hardware or the software controls. So below we have a list of administrative controls. We have personal security, separation of duties, least privilege, need to know, change, configuration management controls as mentioned before, um, record retention and documentation. So we have personnel security control. These controls are administrative human resource controls that are used to support the guarantees of the quality levels of the personnel performing the computer operations. So the elements of these, we have some elements stated below. We have three. We have employment screening or the background checks. Um, this pre-employment screening for sensitive positions should be implemented. For less sensitive positions, post-employment background checks might be suitable. Also, we have mandatory taking of vacation. This practice is common in financial institutions or the other organizations where an operator has access to sensitive financial transactions. So some institutions require a 2-week vacation during which the operator's account processes and procedures are audited carefully to uncover any evidence of fraud. And then lastly, we have job action warnings or termination. So this is basically the actions taken when employees violate the published computer behavior standards. And then we have separation of duties. So what is separation of duties? So separation of duties, also known as segregation of duties, is the concept of having more than one person required to complete a task. It is a key concept of internal controls and is the most difficult and sometimes the costliest one to achieve. The idea is to spread the tasks and privileges for security tasks among multiple people. So no one person should do everything then, basically. And so as related to security, it has primary objectives. The first one is to prevent conflict of interest, wrongful acts, fraud, abuse, and errors. The second is the detection of control failures that include security breaches, information theft, and circumvention of security controls. So, correct separation of duties is designed to ensure that individuals don't have conflicting responsibilities or are not responsible for reporting on themselves or their superior. So there are easy tests for separation of duties. One is, can any one person alter or destroy your financial data without being detected? Can any one person steal or exfiltrate sensitive information? And three, does any one person have influence over control designs, implementation, and reporting of the effectiveness of control? So to all these answers, the answer should to all these questions, the answer should be no. If the answer is yes, then you need to rethink your organization chart to align with proper separation of duties. Also, the individual responsible for designing and implementing security must not be the same person that is responsible for testing security, conducting security audits, or monitoring and reporting on security. Another administrative control is least privilege. So, least privilege. So, this is basically the concept of computer operators who are not allowed to access computer resources at a level beyond what is absolutely needed for their specific job tasks. So, operators are organized into privilege level groups. Each group is then assigned the most restrictive level that is applicable, and there are three basic levels of privilege which are defined. Firstly, we have read only. So basically, read only, this level is the lowest level of privilege and the one to which most operators should be assigned. Operators are allowed to view data but not allowed to add, delete, or make changes to original copies of data. Then we have read or write only. This next higher privilege level is read or write access. This level enables operators to read, add to, or write over any data for which they have authority. Operators usually only have read or write access to data copied from an original location. They cannot access the original data. Lastly, we have access change. So the third and highest level is access change. This level gives operators the right to modify directly in its original location, in addition to data copied from the original location. Operators might also have the right to change file and operator access permissions in the system. So this could be like a person like the supervisor, which would have this permission. So these privileges are commonly much more granular than we have stated here. Privilege levels in large organizations can in fact be very complicated. So another administrative control is need to know. This one is very simple. So it basically refers to the access to, knowledge of, or possession of specific information that is required to carry out a job function. It requires that the subject is given only an amount of information required to perform an assigned task. So basically what this is saying is just you only required the information that is needed to perform the task, nothing else, just the specific information, and basically that's it. So another administrative control, and the last one here we have is record, retention, and documentation. So basically this refers to how long transactions and other types of records like legal, audit trails, email, and so forth, should be retained according to the management, legal audit, or tax compliance requirements. So, in the operation security domain, record retention deals with retaining computer files, directories, and libraries, etc. So, the retention of data media, like tapes and diskettes and backup media, can be based on one or more criteria, such as the number of days elapsed, number of days since creation, and hold time, and other factors. So, an example of the record retention issues could be the mandated retention periods for trial documentation or financial records. There are two parts to record retention. There's data remnants, which refers to the data left on the media after the media has been erased. So after it erased, there might be some physical traces left, which could enable the data to be reconstructed. And then we have due care and due diligence, which is the concept of so it requires that an organization engage in good business practices relative to the organization's industry. So training employees in security awareness could be an example of the due care, unlike simply creating a policy with no implementation plan or follow-up. Another example of due care could be mandating statements from employees stating that they have read and understood appropriate computer behavior is also another example. So by them doing that, it shows that they have understood the certain standards and rules that which need to be complied. So that's it for my video. I hope you understand all the concepts and definitions that was presented. If you have any questions, feel free to comment under the comment section.